I'm about to begin a 30-minute session, and I'm already warning you that it's going to be all of 30 minutes. But I must tell you that when I was invited to do this keynote address, I was requested to do a 1-hour session. And I said no, this is the day and age of Twitter, and worse still, Insta. So I think in this day and age of Twitter and Insta, a 1-hour keynote address can be a terrible, terrible thing to do. So I have condensed it to all of 30 minutes, but being 30 minutes, I'll be a bit quick in what I have to say. I'm making a couple of points. In fact, I'm making 4 points, and I think those 4 points are very relevant to the restaurant industry by and large in this country. If I look at it, I was just looking at Bengaluru, the city you and I call home in so many ways. And if I really look at Bengaluru, I was trying to find a number, and I was talking to friends, and I was looking at some databases, and I have a latest number as on 31st March 2019. Bengaluru hosts a total of 26,820 restaurants. Okay, and that is a large number because if you really look at the NHRAI numbers for all over the country, it says there are only 100,000 restaurants in this country. So obviously the NHRAI numbers are wrong, because if Bengaluru has 26,820 restaurants, you can imagine what all over this country, how many restaurants exist. So what I'm saying is this is a very exciting industry to be in, you and I know it's a tough industry to be in. It is not a very profitable industry to be in. I know the kind of bleed that the restaurant industry goes through. I work for a set of restaurant chains, but my problem is that I work for chains. I don't necessarily work for boutique restaurants. And there's a big difference between boutique standalone restaurants and chains. So today's dialogue, which I want to put together, I'm going to really be talking to you about the individual restaurant. I'm really focusing on the small restaurant, the individual restaurant, and I'm trying to say that an individual restaurant is a boutique restaurant as opposed to a chain restaurant which is like a ration shop, okay, which every Tom, Dick and Harish can put together a chain restaurant, but not everybody can put together boutique offerings like some of you do. And what are the challenges there? I spoke about 26,820 restaurants, and I was looking at number of cuisines available in Bengaluru only, because this is my mother city, your mother city, and I was trying to say how many cuisines exist in Bengaluru. And I have a total of 82 cuisines in Bengaluru out here, okay? And this goes to Naga cuisine, Odisha cuisine, cuisines from Assam, Lakshadweep, Malwa cuisine, and Malwani cuisine, two diametrically opposed, but each one of it being there. Manipuri, Indori, Sarafa cuisine, something called Sarafa cuisine, which is from the streets of Indore. And there's one restaurant which actually does Sarafa cuisine. All of you are experts in this space. I just thought I must start by giving you the mega number of saying 26,820 points of joy in Bengaluru city. And let's see how we can make these points a little more joyful. Let's talk about the changing face of the F&B industry as I'm looking at it. I call it a very important one because for a start, change is real. Changing face is important because change is real. Change is the only thing that's totally, totally real. And if you look at it, it's the only reality for sure. Anything you do for change is an investment. In the sense that if you started your restaurant about 6 years ago, so many years ago, 6 is really long, you and I know that. The survival indices of restaurants in Bengaluru say that an average restaurant, if it crosses the threshold of 4.5 years of survival, there is hope. Okay, but most restaurants tend to fall before that 4.5 years because of the variety-seeking nature of the individual out here in the consumer market. Let's talk about, let me start by talking to you about my personal experience with change. And this is my start story, let's say. I was in Brighton, and I was just moving to Brighton from London and taking that long drive by the railway track. And I was going on that way, and I saw a very long banner on the side of the road, which was on the right side of the superhighway. And on it, it said, the world's first SLOOW Oh, going on for a long time, ... food restaurant. The world's first slow food restaurant. Now this is 11 o'clock and I said I need to see, and when I saw something like this, I had to go and take the culvert for a U-turn and come back, and then went in there and then found out that it was indeed the world's first slow food restaurant. Now what is a slow food restaurant? The slow food restaurant, I walk in there and out there is a board which says that please don't walk in unless you have 3 hours 20 minutes for lunch. Okay, now listen guys, you and I live in Bengaluru, you and I serve people who come in for a snap and want to go in. The moment they come in, they say, in Kannada we have a word called gadi bidi, and they're always in gadi bidi, and they immediately say, where is the waiter, quick, and all that, and the waiter needs to run. And the wait staff in certain other quality of restaurants are also on the run. 3 hours 20 minutes. I said, okay, let me see what it takes. And I walked in there and there was this lady who welcomed me, and you need to bill first there. Okay, so I went in there and I paid a whopping 10,620 rupees INR to walk in for a meal. I said, okay, it's worth it because it's a concept. Walked in there and there's a lady holding a shopping bag kind of a thing, and then she says, we are a boutique outfit. How boutique? Because we grow our own stuff, and anything that you want to eat you will need to pick on your own. Wow, I like that. I walked in there and then she took me and the door opened, and by God, it was the theater of the bazaar, because it opened and out there was this entire acreage of land, which had all kinds of crop growing, natural trees, and of course crops of every kind. So she took me along and she said, are you vegetarian or non-vegetarian, sir? I said, I am non-vegetarian. For 10,560 rupees, I jolly well be. So I don't want to eat the herbs and, etc., etc. Now, the guy looks at me and he says, the lady looks at me and says, sir, would you like your vegetarian selection first? I said, yes. And are you a red meat or a white meat person? I said, white meat is fine. And then, and I'm thankful for having said that, you'll understand it later by the time I end my story. And then they look at me and say that, hey, listen, are you with fish? I said, yes, fish I love. So she takes me around and she asked me, what's your favorite vegetable? For an Indian, for a desi, a brat like I, it's the good old potato. Okay, so I say potato with my eyes light up and all that, and she takes me to potato, patches of potato, and she shows me plants and she says, here is potato, and she gives me a set of implements and says, here's your potato. Now I look at her, I obviously think she's going to bend down and dig up the potatoes for me, but no, you have to dig up your own potatoes. So I went down there on my knees, dug up potatoes, 4 chunky fellows, and I placed it at the side and I said, this is what I'm going to have. She looked at me aghast and said, sir, would you have all of them? Now I looked at them again, now in different light. No way I was going to eat 4 chunky looking fellows. And I said, no, I'll eat only one of that. Then she kept looking at me and she said, sir, would you put it back please? Do you understand what I mean? You put the potato back, it starts growing again, thankfully. I haven't killed it. And I sheepishly put the potato back. Take only that much which you will eat. Okay, nice. I went on, picked up herbs, chilies, various kinds of things. Then she took me to the white meat section. Ducks, geese, chicken. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You need to catch your own chicken if you want to eat your chicken. And if any of you have seen Sing His King, the first scene in which, who's that? Akshay. Running behind a chicken to try and catch a chicken, you'll really realize how difficult it is to catch a chicken. Are you with me? And I gave up because I just saw a Brit out there and the gentleman had caught a chicken because it's good fun for him to go catch a chicken. He's never done it in his life. And not only do you need to catch a chicken, but you need to hold its neck and you need to chop its neck off and you need to see the blood oozing out for a long period of time. It looked like ours to me. Okay, it was all of maybe a minute and a half oozing out, and this monkey actually did not hold the chicken. He was holding the chicken's head and chopped it, and the chicken was jumping all over, squirting blood. Do you understand what I'm doing to your appetite, guys? Okay, this is the second learning of the walk-in restaurant, which says that take ownership of what you're eating. If you're eating a chicken, you jolly well know that the chicken dies this way, okay, not so badly, really. I mean, there are better ways it's done, you and I know that. Dies this way, there's a lot of blood going out, and the chicken was alive a few moments ago. My appetite for chicken left me for about 8 to 10 days after that. Okay, once I got back, it all got back. But the point is, do you understand what's happening? Things go like this. At the end of it, she took me through the slow food restaurant, slow cooked stuff, everything, taking ownership, one, deciding what you want, taking only that much which you must take, knowing for sure that when you're eating chicken, you're eating chicken. I know I have a lot of vegetarian friends who actually eat chicken in nicely cubes of them, they might as well be paneer because there's no bone in it. The boneless chicken variant is a very good variant for the non-vegetarian. Out here, this restaurant is telling you, hey, listen, if you eat something, know what you do, take responsibility for the action that you take. Okay, this is a gourmet, slow food restaurant, and that is change. Okay, and it has its order books full. They take only about 40 walk-ins for lunch, and they take only about 6 or 7 walk-ins for dinner because they're full up otherwise. I think the slow food restaurant is a change kind of a restaurant which I wanted to start with. Having said that, let me jump quickly into a couple of other things. The F&B industry is a very exciting one, ladies and gentlemen, fundamentally because India is a nation of 1.37 billion people. Okay, we're a nation of 1.37 billion people. Why is it so exciting? Because if there are 1.37 billion people, there are 1.37 billion bellies, stomachs, and there are 1.37 billion bladders. And I'm only talking about 2 body parts, okay? I'm not talking about others. Because for food and beverage industry, for food, it is the belly, and beverage, it is the bladder. Guess what, guys? It's exciting because we have 1.37 billion people with hunger in their stomachs. And the good thing is, you eat not once, but the food and beverage industry with bellies and bladders is a multiple 3 industry per day. What's the meaning? It means 1.37 billion people eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some of us do more than that. I'm also guilty when I'm in office. 3 meals, 3 into 1.37 billion is 4.11, million is 4.11 crore meals every single day. Do you know why the F&B industry is exciting? Because of this. And once we have eaten in the morning, fortunately we feel hungry by afternoon, fortunately we feel hungry by dinner, and that's why the excitement of the food and beverage industry is what it is today. And beverage is deepening by the day. Beverage is not as deep in this country as it is in the United States of America. If you look at the per capita consumption of Coca-Cola in the United States of America and oppose it to India, you wonder, what are they doing in India? I mean, there's no play at all. Therefore, Europe, all of Europe except the Netherlands now, and possibly Norway, Sweden, and Finland, where cola consumption is really tanking. Consumption of beverages means consumption of colas and beers. Bengaluru, 1.37 lakh people into 3. We are talking about that large number, 4.1 crore meals per day. And the city you and I are sitting in is the richest city in India in terms of per capita income. The per capita income of a Bengaluru average person in Bengaluru is $11,000, whereas the per capita income of an average Indian is $1,870. Okay, so that's why there's a very exciting food and beverage city for the country. Sure is an exciting opportunity for each one of us. Eating out is growing if you really look at it. There's something called the Gen P, I call in the restaurant industry, which is the promiscuous generation. The Gen P is someone who eats out but doesn't want to eat out at the same restaurant again. That's the idea. Promiscuity is about not eating at the same place because it's boring. And more so at the upper end restaurants, I don't want to be seen at the same place again. They've seen my, Louis Vuitton already. I mean, I can't carry the same one back into the same place. Now listen guys, promiscuity is the normal habit of a restaurant goer. Therefore, if you and I are talking that old language of brand loyalty, let's forget it. There's nothing called brand loyalty in the restaurant business. Because the restaurant business is not about loyalty, the restaurant business is about promiscuity. So if you as a restaurant owner Don't create promiscuous appeals within your own menu, within your own environment of eating, within your own service parameters that you're offering. I think there is something going wrong. So if you look at it, the restaurant business is not a brand loyalty business, it's a brand promiscuity business. Does not want to eat home. Most people nowadays in Bengaluru, there is a number, about 8.5% of people in Bengaluru eat out every day. Okay, oh, that's a lot. Why do they eat out every day? Fundamentally because you're forced to eat out every day. Many of them are working. Many of them actually are living in PG digs. Many of them have to go out and eat. So the idea is eating out is big business. Wants to eat out more and more till you can't. You know what I mean by that. All of us want to eat out all the while till you can't. Till the lifestyle diseases start hitting you. And I think, most young people don't have that problem and doesn't want to eat the same thing again and again. That's a standard one. We have someone called the variety-seeking generation. It's all about variety. I don't want the same darn thing all the time. A challenge for the restaurant and those who run them. Because the restaurant menu can be static for a period of time. Most of the time, a restaurant menu has a set of items which is more or less there and has been there for a long period of time. All restaurants quest for that one signature dish because of which people start walking into your restaurant. Okay, and this keeps happening. I walk into Karavali for a very special dish, and that dish is what I would want to eat there, because the Kodi Kempu Bezulu cannot be recreated anywhere else. Okay, let me jump into the changing diner. I'm in the process of writing a report which is called the changing diner, and I have about 116 insights which I have put together, and this comes from Southeast Asia, UK and India, only 3 junctions, and I'm trying to put this report together, and I have 116 labels. I'm going to talk to you about 4 of these labels because that's how much time I have to share with you. And these 4 items are all about saying that some things in our restaurant space is getting shaken and stirred. We need to sit up and watch out for them, because if you and I change along with it, I think you and I can make for a better restaurant business offering from the kitty of whatever you are taking to the table. Truth 1, there's somebody called the iGen. The iGen is what I call the impatient generation. Hey, are you guys impatient or are you patient people? How many of you are impatient here? Please put up your hands. Wonderful, wonderful. The point is, the younger you are, the more impatient you are. Okay? Because the point is, none of us has time. We are in the Twitter generation, the Insta generation. Everything needs to be, clickety-boo and tickety-boo all the time. If you really look at it, impatience is the norm of the young today. Okay, impatient people, they just want to move fast. And maybe I must tell you a very quick story. No, I won't tell the story because I don't have the time. But impatient people, you and I know what kind of people they are. Look at your spouse. I think you get the answer mostly. The market is young, guys. The market is young, and the young are the iGen, the impatient generation. And there are 2 currencies at play. Okay, you and I mostly think in terms of money. Money is one currency, and the second currency is time. Time. Guess what? The young value time more than money. You know why? Because money can be earned. Time can only be spent. You can't go up to a shop and say, hey, I'm running out of time, top up 5 years of life. Can you? No, you can't. So that seems to be the problem. When younger generations and restaurant goers are actually very time besotted, it simply means to say that restaurants are businesses which deal with 2 currencies of human beings, and currency number 1 is time and currency number 2 is money. And in big cities like Bengaluru, possibly the second currency is more important than the first one. Because when there is plenty of money around, because $11,000 is the per capita number that we have in terms of income, when there's lots of money around, you look for something that doesn't exist, which is time. And everybody knows that we're all dying every minute, every moment. You died today, one day. I'm dying here for half an hour with you guys. Because the truth is that we're all dying. We're not living. 2 currencies, one is money and the second is time. Restaurants need to focus on the time portion of your business very, very carefully. Okay, and look at it this way, yeah. Restaurants, most businesses, okay, one study which I've done across only 211 restaurants in Delhi. This is a Delhi number, okay, I haven't done this in Bengaluru. This is Delhi, not Gurgaon, Noida, etc. Out of 211 restaurants, we have data which says that an average restaurant in Delhi does two kinds of businesses. One, he serves at his restaurant, okay, and he's got maybe about 22 covers as a minimum, or 24 covers as a minimum, and maybe 116 covers at maximum, where typically he serves on location and he delivers, not he, all the Swiggies and all the intermediaries are delivering. So out of 211 restaurants, I have value data. This is value data, okay? This is value of how much is eaten on spot, how much is partaken at home. And the number is shocking. The on-site consumption at a restaurant in Delhi, 211, hoity-toity restaurants even included, is 24% is on-site, 76% is delivery. Ouch, nice. You know why this is good? Suppose there is a guy who's got about 116 covers and he rolls it 1.5 times in an evening, let's say. So 116 plus half of that, you add to that. The value that you get is only 24%, which means that if he was to serve this 3/4, this rest of it, the 74%, he needed to have 3 times or 4 times more the space that he has. With less space, he's actually getting the same revenue, and therefore there are restaurants today saying, I want a restaurant, it's only a face, yeah, let it be a face. Let it be just 5% of on-site, catering. In any case, everything is good, it's tough today, and 95% delivery works for me. Guess what, guys? That's the new way businesses are happening, So every Tom, Dick, and Harish can be a restaurant tomorrow. So what's really happening is the entire thing is, it's getting to be like an aggregated business. Promiscuity, guys, second one is promiscuity. Restaurants are about brand promiscuity and not about brand loyalty. Brand loyalty is dead. The restaurant business is a variety business. Therefore, you have to be changing the look of your restaurant, the taste of your restaurant, the smell of your restaurant, the touch of your restaurant. Thankfully, the wait staff, through natural attrition itself, is changing. That's good. So if you really look at it, all this needs to be changed, and change is the only way to go. Point 3. Know thy customer. Now, this is an easy thing to say. Difficult at times due to wait staff churn. How do you get to know customers? Most of the time, customers are known only by the wait staff. I walked into the Taj out here just now, and right at the gate, right next to the security console, there was a gentleman there, and he said, "Hi, Mr. Bijur, how are you?" He put out his hand. I felt so good. Now, this guy knows me because he's been here for the last 25 years. You can go and speak to him. More than 25 years at the same property, okay? But how difficult is that? It's very difficult. You and I know in the restaurant business, we can't keep the same people. So what happens? Use technology, guys. I think that technology is the intermediary. Do you know your customer? That's a question I keep asking people. And most of the time say, yeah, of course we know our customers. We cater to them. They walk in there. I know them. I don't know their name, but I know their craziness. I know how crazy they are. I know exactly what they order. Fine. But once the wait staff changes, there's just no way of knowing who's ordering what. Now that becomes difficult. Do you know your customer? Whenever I ask this, most people say yes. And I ask the gentleman or the lady, do you know your spouse? That's the first start point, okay? Because I have research data, and this research was done all across the country with Professor M.N. Srinivas, a very eminent sociologist, and I did this study. This is slightly old, it's about 6 years ago, and we had data. We went to people who were married to one another for more than 10 years at a stretch, and we took the husband separately and asked him, do you know your wife? And he told us something, and went to the wife and said, do you know your husband? And she told us something. We took down the data, and we came to the conclusion that women don't know men at all, and men don't know women at all. And the data simply said, women know their men. After being married for 10 long years, they know their men 81%, which means that still 19% of the man they still don't know. That's interesting. And men, that is women know that. And the men, I don't want to create trouble out here, so I'm not going to give you that data. This is not to get you guys to go home and start chatting about how much I know you, how much I don't know you. But the reality is, none of us know anybody. We don't know one customer who's our spouse. How will you know real customers? Because a customer is not one, customers are thousands and thousands of people. Research says no, but do use technology in your journey. And I think technology is a great thing. I must give you an example of a delightful experience I had in Sao Paulo many years ago. I keep talking about it. Walked into a restaurant. Actually, I was invited by this lady who was a client of mine. We walked into the restaurant. The moment we walked in, she was greeted, and the gentleman, put out his hand and said, "Tanya, how are you? You haven't been here for 7 long months." And Tanya was thrilled and all that. And he looked at me, and he didn't call me Mr. Tanya. Okay, you know what happens in India. A man and a woman go to a restaurant, he calls you Mr. Bijur, and that poor lady, whoever she is, she says, "Hello, Mrs. Bijur, how are you?" Doesn't happen. That is not a great thing to do. But he looks at me, and he puts out his hand and says, "Mr. Bijur, what a delight. This is your first time here." Now I'm wondering, how in tarnation does he know me? And Sao Paulo, somewhere there, this guy puts out his hand. It's not like my Taj friend out here. And then we walk in there, and he's given Tanya her favorite seating, which is on the rooftop facing the glass enclosure, etc. We sit there, and he brings the menu across, and he says, "Tanya, it's going to be our usual rosé." Rosé for a start. Yeah, she's that way. She likes to have her rosé in the way she wants to. And he asks me which wine I would like or what I would like, and I tell him that. And then he comes and offers the menu to Tanya, to me. And he says, "Tanya, will it be your usual cabbage potage or whatever? I mean, I don't even know how to pronounce it." And she says, "Yes, it'll be the same. With 1 slice of lime, or 2, Tanya, this time?" And she says, "No, just 1 as usual." Nice. How does he know all this? Then I talk to Tanya and find out, "Do you know this guy? You come here often?" "No, the last I came here was about 7 months ago." "Not so often." "You know this guy?" "Never seen the darned idiot." "Never seen him? Never seen the darned idiot?" That's what she says. I said, "Then how does he know all this?" Well, it's all technology. Tanya has actually booked a table. When she's booking a table, she's actually said that she's coming in with her guest, whose name is Mr. Bijur, who comes from India. And he's coming in for the first time. They ask you, there's an online questionnaire. Tanya's secretary has bunged in everything. And the restaurant on its database knows Tanya, because Tanya's every visit, maybe 14 of them over the last whatever number of years, is all on the desktop. And the wait staff is allocated the tables and the guests by about 3 in the afternoon, post the lunch session. At 3 o'clock onwards, it's homework time for them, because they're taking care of 2 tables. They need to understand the entire history of the people who are coming there at those 2 tables. So this is homework time. The database shows them exactly when Tanya came 14 times, what all she ate, what was the problem, did she have any problem at any point of time, which wine does she like to drink, what is the way she manages her nutrition, etc., etc. My God. And this time she's coming in, walking in with a monkey called Mr. Bijur. So please, humor him. You know what I mean, guys? So technology at times can do a brilliant piece of work. And guess what? The photograph is right there of the people, and he's got the photograph. When the car is entering into the basement parking that they have exclusively, the video screen is screening up upstairs, and the guy is looking at it. Tanya gets out of the car, and he says, "Oh, this is Tanya. Yeah, right. And this must be that monkey from India. And Mr. Bijur." So both of them, and he's at the door waiting for me, at both of us, and he pretends he knows us from time immemorial. Technology, half the time. And I think Bengaluru is the city where we do it best, so we can do wonders. I'm going to, the 4th point, which is the last point I want to talk to you about, the creases in the iron box. Markets in India come with creases of differentiation. This is what I'm happy about small restaurants. You know what? The analogy that I give you is the following. Imagine India, or imagine Bengaluru to be a white bed sheet, a large white bed sheet. Okay, it is crinkled, it's starched and crinkled, but it's not ironed out. Imagine this entire large white bed sheet is opened out and kept on the floor here. Once it's kept on the floor, the creases of differentiation are still there, and that is the city. That is the restaurant going city. in the sense that people are not clones. They don't like to eat the same darn thing all the time. People are differentiated. People go to different restaurants because they want differentiated service, differentiated food, differentiated beverage, differentiated experience, differentiated everything. And therefore, when they walk into that restaurant, you need to treat them as different people completely, because this differentiation is the correct way to be. Every crease is every new restaurant in Bengaluru city. Every trough is a new restaurant. What is a large chain restaurant chain? Let me take any chain, a McDonald's for instance, or a Kentucky Fried Chicken, as large chains of that kind. What do? A McDonald's is the great big iron box. It comes in to Bengaluru and possibly says, hey, this is differentiation. This is the different kind of stuff that people eat. No, let's iron it out and make eating clonal. And let's iron out the creases. Ironing out a crease means ironing out a food component altogether. Why am I so thrilled about Bengaluru? Because if we have 82 different cuisines on offer out here, we have 82 pieces of multiple differentiation that we offer. And I think that must be preserved. And guess what, guys? In Italy, big MNC organizations which are in the food business, which are into burgers and pizzas, without taking names, are banned in 13 prefectures. Why are they banned? Because they're eating into the local food habits and they're destroying the local palates of people with standardized ration shop food offerings. So the restaurant business is actually a differentiated business, and it's a great thing to be. Markets in India comes with creases of differentiation. For instance, sambar. I worked a fair bit in the sambar territory in the old days. I used to handle a brand for Unilever. We used to make sambar powder in India. That time I found out there's not one sambar, not two, not three, not five. There are 236 types of sambar powders in this country. Now a multinational comes in, and I used to work for a multinational. Come in, we want to launch a sambar. This is a challenge. Which of those 236 types will you launch? There's the best sambar powder, which comes from Dindigul. And the Dindigul sambar powder is the best. Who says? The people of Dindigul say. There is the worst sambar powder, which is sold in Greater Kailash GK2 in Delhi. Who says? The GK2 people. But they like it. Now guess what? What will an MNC do? Launch the best sambar powder? God, you'll go niche. Launch the worst sambar powder? No, of course not. Then there's the quest for the average sambar powder. And you launch the average sambar powder. Guess what happens to foods which are massified? There is a massification movement in foods, and there's a demassification movement in foods. I don't have too much time to talk about this, but if any of you on Twitter, you can come on to my handle and pick up a paper I've written on this, which is called Massified Foods versus Demassified. The demassified foods preserve heritage, whereas massified foods kill heritage. So for me, each one of you small restaurant business owners are the pride of Bengaluru, if not the pride of India. Because you are maintaining that demassified status of local foods created in a particular manner. Okay, mass global restaurant chains vie with one another to iron out the creases, as I told you, with the iron box approach. Chain restaurants have mastered this approach mostly. Local restaurants must fight to preserve these differences and creases. So if you're looking different, if you're tasting different, if people are saying your spice quotient is too high, please keep to it, man. People are coming to you because of that. Because of that. So just don't worry, don't change things you must not change. Because you're not that big chain, which is the big iron box, but you are that small crease and the trough in the market, and you are the future of the restaurant business. The restaurant business of the future is not one large chain taking care of the food and beverage requirements of the country. It is millions of small restaurants taking care of the food and beverage needs of this country. That's exactly what I'd like to say about that. Local is the crease, and global is the iron box. Do you want to be the crease or do you want to be the iron box? Take pride in being the crease. Take pride in being the crease, because the crease is differentiated, whereas the iron box is just like everybody else. In parting, food is real and food is virtual. Last 2 minutes that I want to stay with you. The network of the living and the digital. I thought I must part with you on a lighter note after saying all these nasty things. Digital food and drink, okay? Digital food and drink. This is a crazy subject. I don't understand it too well. I'm still studying it. So, but whatever I understand is digital food and drink is becoming a reality. All of us are into, cloud kitchens are a reality. Whoever knew there's something called a cloud kitchen? I know a kitchen, man. Cloud kitchen. Kitchen in the cloud. Okay, a Bhero's Biryani will have a cloud kitchen, and it has hundreds of cloud kitchens all over. And Bhero's is Bhero's. A lot of people will just eat visually. A lot of people just eat visually, by the way. They will not eat physically. Okay, now I wonder whether you can charge them to eat visually tomorrow. Actually, people do. I eat a lot on Instagram. I'm on Insta, and I love to eat on Insta because food looks so delicious. Believe it or not, if I was eating on Insta, I would not be what I am. I would be a lot more. I would have a lot more to offer to you when I came here. If you look at it, a lot will eat visually because they can't eat physically, and restaurants are connected to the rest of the ecosystem seamlessly. The rest of the ecosystem is seamlessly connected, and you need to manage each one of them very, very carefully. Digi living today is a promiscuous life. What do I mean by that? Digital is promiscuous. How many of you are on digital mediums today? Please put up your hands. You're not on WhatsApp? WhatsApp is the mother of them all. I mean, everyone. Who is not on WhatsApp here? Now I'm going to respect you. I'm going to say respect. Anybody not on WhatsApp? Look at this room, man. Not on WhatsApp? You're on WhatsApp? Yeah, okay. Everybody is on WhatsApp. Listen, 100% of this audience is digital, okay? And then you go on, from WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the mother of them all. And then after WhatsApp, which is the big one? Facebook? Okay. Then? Instagram, Twitter. And none of you belong to the biggest of them all, or the one with the biggest potential, which is TikTok. TikTok. You don't know TikTok? Oh, that's the future. I do a fair bit of work in rural. Take it from me. In rural India, if I walk into a room like this, which never would exist, if I asked 500 people, 430 of them would put up their hands and say, we are on TikTok. See that. Mediums are getting divided. Mediums are getting divided. It's goodbye to Facebook in rural. It's goodbye to Twitter in rural. They don't understand the brevity. It's goodbye, but Insta is good, even for them. But Insta is fighting with TikTok. If you look at it, however, I think we have all lost a lot in all of this. And what have we lost? My phone sleeps with my refrigerator. I have a refrigerator at home, which the maker has given me a refrigerator which has got a sensor in it. It is called an IoT refrigerator. The IoT chip is out there. I have 24 eggs on the top case. Once the 24 eggs reach 4, my refrigerator, the chip at the egg counter actually says, I've run out of eggs, and doesn't tell me. I've linked it to the Nilgiri store, or I've linked it to the More store. I've done the test with More. We have a Nilgiris downstairs, but this doesn't work with More. It orders at More, and I've authorized my chip in the refrigerator to pay for the eggs also in advance with my credit card, with an authorization of only 1,000 rupees, because even I don't trust technology that much, even though I'm talking so much about it. So 1,000 bucks, and the egg is ordered, and the egg gets delivered at my doorstep the moment my eggs are over, okay? So my refrigerator, my phone sleeps with my refrigerator. The moment the order goes, I get a WhatsApp message, an SMS message, which tells me that I've ordered eggs. If I want to cancel, I can still cancel. My refrigerator sleeps with my grocery store. I told you, moment my eggs are over, it's sleeping with More. My grocery store sleeps with 40,000 customer phones like me, theoretically. In the future, 40,000 people will have IoT refrigerators, which refrigerators will be ordering the stuff. My customers sleep with credit cards. Those 40,000 customers all sleep with credit cards. You know why? Because a credit card is needed to make the payment. My credit card sleeps with my bank because a credit card needs to be issued by a bank. My bank sleeps with ICRA, the rating agency. And so ICRA has all the data of how many eggs came to me or whatever, if they really want to know. Okay. My ICRA sleeps with my insurance company because they are networked. My insurance company sleeps with my car If I have a Maruti, my Maruti sleeps with my insurance company because on the actuary side of it, there's a lot of exchange of data. My car sleeps with Tata Motors. If my car was a Tata Motors car, it would be sleeping that way. My Tata Motors sleeps with Aadhaar, because when I go to buy a Tata Motors car, I have to show my Aadhaar. And my Aadhaar sleeps with my PAN card. If you remember, all of us were forced by people till the Supreme Court said you don't have to do it, that link your PAN card with Aadhaar. And my PAN card sleeps with my jeweler, because when I go to buy jewelry, I have to show my PAN card. So the data is promiscuously connected one to the other. So if any of you think, I don't know what you did last summer, you're totally wrong. Okay? Seriously. Because if somebody really wants to know, they will know. Because the technology exists today, exists now, except for the IoT fridge maybe at this point of time. My jeweler sleeps with Facebook. Okay, because he is also on Facebook, and Facebook sleeps with Cambridge Analytica. This is the reality. The data is promiscuous, it's all over there. If you look at it over a period of time, restaurant consumers, people who walk into restaurants, will be managed more on data and less on persona. So data fights with persona. Okay, that's the reality, and no one knows what's happening to this reality. Think, who do you sleep with really? A very important question, because you're sleeping with data, and data is everyone's, and everyone knows what's happening. Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you for your patience, for your time. I'm sure I'll not have time for questions, and therefore I have given you an email ID out here. If you mail to me at harishbijur@hotmail.com, I promise to get back to you within 24 hours if you do mention that you were at this excellent conference organized by Ronak and his team. Thank you. Pleasure being here.